And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance, and boxing dignitaries joining us from around the world, live from the beautiful Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, it's time for the 49th Annual World Boxing Council Convention. It's showtime! What an honor it is to stand before you this morning in a gathering of unbelievable boxing greats from the WBC leadership and members from across the globe, from promoters. I'm told there are 79 promoters joining us here throughout the week, and matchmakers, honored guests, ring officials, journalists, but most of all, the men and women who make this sport great, the reason we are here, the reason we love this sport, the greatest athletes in the world, the boxing heroes and boxing greats, whom we will introduce later to you this morning. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot scheduled for you this morning, and we're going to move things right along. My pleasure to introduce to you the president of the North American Boxing Federation for some opening words. Please welcome Mr. Joe Dwyer.
Thank you, Jimmy. On behalf of José Sulaimán and the Board of Governors, I welcome each of you to the great city of Las Vegas, Nevada. To the folks that have traveled long distances, I welcome you to the United States of America. To our champions, the members, and guests, the staff of the WBC has worked diligently to put together an outstanding program to fill your time here in Las Vegas. Please do not hesitate. If we can be of assistance in any way, do not hesitate to come over to us and ask for assistance. We'd be more than happy. It's our pleasure because with the WBC, we are all family. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joe, and at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce my co-MC for this morning, world-famous boxing commentator, and never in the history of this sport will his record of commentating on over 917 world title bouts be broken. It is an honor to share the microphone with him, ladies and gentlemen, and after a tough year of illness, I am very happy and proud to say that he is back, and better than ever, please welcome the one and only Colonel Bob Sheridan.
Thank you, Jimmy. Good morning, everybody. All of us in this room love the sport of boxing. We've all traveled the world to take part in it, whether we're promoters, referees, judges, members of the commissions, members of the WBC. And since we have traveled all around, it's really a distinct honor for me to welcome you to my hometown, the boxing capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. As you see, there will be very few hotels in the world that could host a delegation of 2,000 people, including guests and all. There are over 4,000 people, souls attending here for the WBC Convention. A great credit to its president, José Sulaimán, and the staff of the WBC. I congratulate you, one and all. And now, because we're really being hosted in such a fabulous hotel here, it's my duty and honor to introduce you to the Vice President of Mandalay Bay, Mr. Chuck Bowling. Chuck?
Well, good morning, everybody, and on behalf of 7,000 employees here at Mandalay Bay, we would like to welcome you back to Las Vegas once again, and then this year to Mandalay Bay. It's an absolute honor to be able to host this prestigious event, and we will work hard to make sure you have both a productive week and also a little fun. By the way, it is Las Vegas, and I think it's important to have a little fun. You know, I don't think it's just a coincidence that this is the largest gathering of WBC World Champions all in one place. And I know for many in this room, Las Vegas is very important in boxing, but I need each of you to know that it is very, very important that you know what you mean to Las Vegas. So we want to welcome you all here today. We know that the history of the attendance today is near history making. And we also know, and I learned from earlier, that it is there are more chapters represented at this conference than at any time in its 49-year history. And I think Las Vegas has something to do with that. But I also know that it's out of the tremendous respect that everybody in this room has for its current president, José Sulaimán. And Mr. Sulaimán, I'd like to just thank you for all of us in Las Vegas and for Mandalay Bay for allowing us to host this prestigious event. I'd like to also thank you and your son Mauricio for all that you do for the sport of boxing. We're very proud to be a part of it, so thank you very much. We appreciate it. Lastly, we know that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in boxing. There's a lot of things that go behind the scenes in many, many events. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the tireless effort of Chuck Williams. Chuck Williams has worked his butt off this week to make sure you have an amazing event. So thank you, Chuck, for all that you've done. So let's get this started. Again, we'd like to welcome you here. We hope you have a great, great week. And on behalf of all of us here at Mandalay Bay, we wish you and your families a very Merry Christmas and a very blessed holiday. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chuck, and once again, what a buzz there was when we heard that we were going to be here at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. It makes this 49th convention very, very special indeed. And at this time, my honor to introduce to you the authorities and special guests joining us at the head table. Now, some of them you have heard from, some you will hear from later, but we do want to take this moment to introduce them to you as we start our program here today. First of all, WBC Vice President from the United States, Rex Walker. WBC Vice President from Belgium, Bob Logis. WBC Treasurer from the United States, Juan Sanchez. WBC Vice President from Tunisia, Hussein Houichi. WBC Vice President from England, Charles Giles. WBC Vice President from Thailand, Covid Bhaktibumi. The Governor from the state of Quintana Roo in Mexico, Roberto Borge. WBC President José Sulaimán. County Commissioner Stephen Sisolak. Chairman of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Skip Avancino. President of the North American Boxing Federation, Mr. Joe Dwyer. And WBC Honorary Vice President from Hawaii, Bobby Lee. Now it is the time to introduce you the Board of Governors for the World Boxing Council. And to join us at the microphone to take over these duties, we have the WBC Executive Director, Mauricio Sulaimán, and the Special Legal Counsel to the WBC Board, Mr. Robert Lenhart.
WBC Board of Governors, African Boxing Union, Nelson Sapi, Celestino Mindra, Peter Gatane. Asian Boxing Council, Patrick Cusick. British Board of Control, John Williamson. Caribbean Boxing Federation, Peter Abdul, James Marshall. CIS and Slovenian Boxing Bureau, Mikhail Denisov, Miroslav Popovic. European Boxing Union, Elsa Jacoponi, Berti Agustin. And Mauro Petit. International Secretary, Peter Stucki and Willibald Palatin. North American Boxing Federation, Michael George, Claude Jackson. Oriental and Pacific Boxing Federation, Ken Morita and Major Lee. Central American Boxing Federation, Alberto Guerra. Ramón García Septién, Carlos Rodríguez, Julio Torres, Martín Galán, Anabel González. International Secretary Frank Quill. International Secretary Edward Tigaraja. And Soshtone Kashiba.
Gentlemen, please stay at the microphone there, because now it's time that we introduce to you the WBC Committee Chairman and attending commissioners. Welcome one and all.
Executive Committee, Ed Pearson, Luis Escalona, and Hubert Min. Jill Diamond, John Brister, Bruce McTavish. Bismarck Morales, Stephen Beverly, William Boodoo, Rudy Tellez, Sam Macias, and Alberto León. From Cardiff, Neil McEvoy, Ed Brophy from the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And from here in Nevada, Sig Rogic, Dr. Jim Nave, Mark Ratner, and Dr. Luther Mack. And my friend Joe Brown. Mr. Eduardo Torres, Rodrigo Cobo, Edith Mamputen, Gloria Mercante, James Mercante, and Jamie Panas from Guinness Record Books. And for the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Mr. Keith Kaiser, Bill Brady, Pat Lundahl. From Texas, Uncle Dickie Cole, John C. Lewis from Mississippi, and Michael Anthony Mauro.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special welcome delivered by not only one of boxing's great champions, but one of boxing's most beloved statesmen of the sport. Please welcome to the microphone Olympic gold medalist and former two-time heavyweight champion of the world, the one and only George Foreman.
Well, I'm just so happy to be with you, and I'm so happy to be with all of the great champions of the past and the future. But most importantly, I wouldn't have made this trip now because I've got enough money I can just sit home and eat beans and rice. But because of the great Mr. Sulaimán, he invited me here. I could not resist because I can remember it was 40 years ago, thereabouts, when I was invited to just sit in at this most humble meeting at that point. And as I sat there, I was asking just for a chance to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world. I didn't have a powerful promoter. All I had was this little meager manager in Big Salad. And Mr. Sulaimán stood up and said, look, the rematch can happen with Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, but we're going to give you so many hours to make a match with George Foreman, Joe Frazier, and I got my chance to become the heavyweight champion of the world because this humble man held this humble position. And since then, as you look around, you hear them talk about alphabet championship. But this is no alphabet. This is the most powerful and the gracious and humble and the integrity of the WBC committee. I want to thank you for coming out and supporting this great man. He speaks from his heart now. He's got a son to follow right behind him. God bless him, and Sugar Ray Leonard and Ken Norton and Thomas Hearn. God bless you.
No question, one of boxing's most beloved statesmen. Thank you very much, Big George Foreman. At this time, we proceed to recognize, as we had mentioned earlier, one by one, our boxing greats and heroes, past, present, and future world champions sitting to my right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a video looping and showing some of the action of some of these fighters, and we will read their names in alphabetical order. We apologize ahead of time in that we have something like 90 champions joining us We don't have the time to deliver the accolades that they deserve. If you can hold your applause, we appreciate that. It may be a little bit tough sometimes. We're going to read our honored guest's name, and we are once again so pleased and honored that you have chosen to join us here this morning. We're going to roll the video at this time, and ladies and gentlemen, here we go in alphabetical order. Please welcome the two-time world champion, Rosendo Alvarez.
And welcome the current WBC Super Welterweight champion, Saul Alvarez.
And the great former middleweight world champion, Vito Antuofermo.
And the current WBC Super Featherweight champion of the world, Takehiro Inoue.
And the former super bantamweight champion of the world, the real Paul Behnke.
Three-time world champion, Iran Barkley.
World lightweight prospect, Sharif Boger.
My good pal and former heavyweight champion from South Africa, Francois Botha.
Former super featherweight world champion, Cornelius Boza Edwards.
And a great former lightweight champion, Livingston Bravo.
Two-time world champion from Panama, Celestino Caballero.
And the current youth champion, Randy Caballero.
Super lightweight world contender, Miguel Callis.
One of the great characters and great former champions, the Macho Man, Hector Camacho.
Two-time world champion, Javier Castillejo.
Former featherweight and super featherweight contender, Ruben Castillo.
Former middleweight world champion, Jorge Castro.
The current light heavyweight international champion, Isaac Chilumba.
And fresh off a big win, the two-time world champion, Miguel Angel Cotto.
Former welterweight champion, Pepino Cuevas.
Six-time world champion, the Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya.
Former world champion from the 50s, Hall of Famer, Tony DeMarco.
And the current European heavyweight champion, Alexander Dimitrenko.
First four-time Latino-American world champion and all-time great Hall of Famer, Roberto Durán.
Three-time world champion, Jeff Fennick.
Current America's Cruiserweight champion, B.J. Flores.
The man who gave a rousing welcome, the one and only George Foreman.
Former Cruiserweight champion, Jacobe Fragonami.
And the current WBC female strawweight champion, Naoko Fujioka.
Three-time world champion, Humberto Gonzalez.
The current WBC featherweight world champion, Johnny Gonzalez.
One of the greatest middleweight champions ever, Marvin Hagler.
Two-time world champion joining us from across the pond, Ricky Hatton.
Another great Hall of Famer, great champion, the hitman, Tommy Hearns.
Former heavyweight contender, Joe Hitt.
And one of my favorite heavyweight champions of all time, one of the greatest in history, Larry Holmes.
And the three-time world champion, the real deal, Evander Holyfield.
two-time world champion and really big banger, Julian Jackson.
And the four-time world champion, Roy Jones Jr.
And the current WBC female flyweight champion of the world, Mariana Juárez.
Two-time world champion, Zab Super Judah.
The current youth bantamweight champion, Tomoki Kameda.
And the current WBC female atomweight champion, Momo Koseki.
Former world featherweight champion and broadcast partner of mine, Juan Laporte.
And the former light heavyweight champion of the world, Donnie Lalonde.
Two-time world champion, Oscar Larios.
Former super featherweight world champion, Jesse James Leha.
And the former international middleweight champion, David Lemieux.
And one of the greatest champions in boxing history, a five-time world champion, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Two-time world champion, Rafael Marquez.
And current WBC female super welterweight champion, the coal miner's daughter, Cristy Martin.
Former great lightweight contender and present trainer, Floyd Mayweather Sr.
A three-time world champion known as the Body Snatcher, Mike McCallum.
Former welterweight champion of the world, the first one to fight the 12 rounds in the title distance, Milton McCrory.
An Olympic silver medalist and the former super bantamweight champion of the world, the pocket rocket, Wayne McCullough.
Former featherweight champion and broadcast partner, Manuel Medina.
And the former heavyweight world champion, Merciless Ray Mercer.
The first Mexican fighter to win world titles in 4 divisions, the great Eric Morales.
And the current WBC female super featherweight champion, Helena Merjikovic.
Former world champion and my pal, Eddie Mustafa Mohammed.
And what a champion, one of the greatest champions in the welterweight division, José Nápoles.
The current WBC female super bantamweight champion, Jackie Neva.
Two-time world champion known as the Professor, Azumah Nelson.
The current WBC super bantamweight champion of the world, Toshiaki Nishioki.
And the three-time world champion, Terrible Terry Norris.
Part of the greatest heavyweight championship fight I ever saw, who fought Larry Holmes for the world title, one of the great fights of all time, former heavyweight champion and great puncher, Kenny Norton.
And a world contender, official challenger in the welterweight division from Africa.